Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition. Look at that little, I try to clear my desk before we do this. This right here, let me tell y'all. Oh, it's on the other side. Wow, I'm freaking my own self out. Is an IFB piece. And what that means is this is the little earpiece that I have. I feel like one of those like makeup influencers. Take a look at this, guys. This is what I put in my ear. And that's how I am connected to the rest of the station so they can let me know what's going on. Usually I'm just getting off the set. Luckily, we had Sherman DeSalle who filled in for me so that I could be ready for this. And I'm so excited because we have two incredible women who are parents themselves. And so they get it. And talking about something that's so important, we've talked about all the dangers of social media. Like, yes, social media can be great. But unfortunately for teenagers, it's been more harmful than good just by so many of the articles that I've read, the research, specifically though, these TikTok challenges, which you've probably heard about. And what's really crazy is that there's no origin to the TikTok challenge. So we don't know where in the world this is coming from. But regardless, it's coming to our children and they are doing it for the likes, the popularity, whatever the case may be. Some 13-year-old died actually from Ohio doing a TikTok challenge. So I have Titania, who is with Bark. We're going to talk about that. That's one of the solutions, which really has helped so many children. I think it's more than 6 million children. So I'm going to introduce you to that. And also Tessa Stuckey, who is a parent herself, 4 kids. Whoa, I know. And she's amazing. And she's also a licensed therapist. So I think that you really are going to get something from today's conversation, although it is going to be short, but hopefully we can talk to them again pretty soon. So without further ado, let me add both ladies here. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so if you didn't watch the story, we did do a story last night. It aired at 9:30 and again at 5 p.m. today. So it is on our website, fox26houston.com. So first off, Tessa, I was going to ask you, I know that you said you are just so, I guess, like disgusted by what's going on with social media. Tell me what you're seeing with your clients and why you decided for now your children don't need to be on social media.
Yeah, so I've been working as a therapist for about 9 years now, working mostly with teenagers. And I've seen a huge decline in their mental health. And a lot of it comes from instant gratification from being online. The need for attention is really, really huge because everyone is looking down at their phones within families, within friend groups, all of that. And so a surefire way to get attention in today's world is to post things online. And because their brain is not fully developed, they're not making the best choices all the time. So they might post something that as an adult, we would think that they would be embarrassed from, or it's a little too personal, or it's a little too sexual and inappropriate, or it's flat out stupid, like those TikTok challenges. And that causes such a big problem for our kids in the digital world.
Yes, definitely. And Titania, I was going to bring you in because you said that you actually wish you didn't start or introduce it to your child earlier on.
I do. Yeah, my son is 14 and TikTok blew up, especially during the pandemic. He was an only child. All of his friends were on it. I thought, okay, I've been on it. We'll sit beside each other and do this thing. And it quickly evolved into something that was very negative and harmful. In fact, we were playing ping pong together in the garage this morning. And I said, do you remember when you had TikTok in like 5th grade and all of the extremist misinformation you saw on there. He's like, yeah, I'm glad that I have curated my feed to be different. And I'm just so thankful that he was able to have that foresight with me to do that. But so many parents just have no idea what TikTok is presenting to their children, how dangerous the algorithms can be. And children, as Tessa mentioned, their frontal lobes aren't fully formed. They are not yet able to regulate what's needed
Mhm.
to be consumed by them.
Tessa, you were also saying how, for a lot of these kids, a lot of parents, like they just don't even know that their child is on TikTok. And you've made it a priority to continue this conversation about social media all the time.
Yeah, I go and I speak to any parent that will listen to me because being a mom myself, it's scary just in general raising your kids, right? And then add in the digital world, and it's so big and so much. It's, the online playground, right? When we take our kids to an actual playground, we watch them and we make sure they don't fall and get hurt or get kidnapped. With the online world, there's so many areas that we can seriously lose our kids and their mental health. And so I, as a fearful mom, have made certain changes within my own parenting, and I will scream from the rooftops till the day I die about this because I want all parents to understand the harms and the things to be fearful of when your kids are online. Absolutely.
So this is a question for both of y'all. How would you kind of approach with parents who have teenagers? And obviously that's a tricky time. My kids are younger. They're not even thinking about it, 3 and 6, but teenagers, and you can't just kind of be like, no, you're not doing this. I've heard so many awful things. I mean, obviously they're going to retaliate or whatever. So how do you even start that conversation?
I'll jump in first, and Tessa, you bring it on home. I would start with the data, which is, child, I love you so much that I want you to know that while TikTok is really fun and really engaging and all of your friends might have it, here's what you're going to encounter when you get on there. It's one of the top apps flagged for severe suicidal ideation. If you haven't talked to your child about suicide and mental health, you better do it before you let them have TikTok. It's also in the top apps flagged for body image concerns. So talking about the comparison trap and filters and all of that is very important. It's also in the top apps flagged for severe bullying. So what's your plan? What's your plan if you see somebody being unkind? What's your plan if somebody is targeting you? You have got to have these conversations before you give your child access.
Yeah, and so say you already have given your child access not knowing because there's cute puppy videos or recipes that your daughter wants to try or dance videos. It's okay to come back and say, you know what? I did not know that all of this came with it. And that is on me. And I am so sorry. The digital world moves so quickly that I was not staying on top of it. And I just did not know that handing this smartphone to you or letting you have access to all these social media sites was going to lead to this. And we got to scale back because your mental health and your physical safety is more important to me than any TikTok dance or puppy video out there. So I am so sorry. So taking blame yourself, which is okay to do, right? And recognizing as an adult that maybe I didn't make an intentional mistake, but I just did not know. I was oblivious. And so we're going to rein this back in. We're going to reset for the whole family. And we're going to make some changes so that you can be safe and okay. And eventually you will have free reign to do whatever you want on your devices. But while you're in my house and I'm raising you, my job is to keep you safe, and I'm going to get you to that point.
Yeah, those are great points. I wonder though, do you give the information about like this child died doing this, or it's all these like kind of scary things that us as
Yes.
parents trigger us, but are
Yes.
these facts we give them?
Yes, and depending on the age, right? You want it to be age appropriate. You don't want to tell a 6-year-old and, then they have nightmares all night. But
Right.
11, 12, 13 years old, kids and actually all humans learn through storytelling. So telling them a story that is factual and scares them a little bit is really helpful in this situation. Absolutely.
And I will say also, and I've done stories on this before, just being in the media, what you see in the news, the war in Ukraine, school shootings, stuff like that, like bad things happening. How do you explain it to your child? Because it's out there. You know, when we were kids, we didn't have active shooter drills. We had like fire drills
Right.
and tornado drills, and it's scary.
Right.
And I had that conversation with my 6-year-old son, like, and but I was not, with no, you know, background in it. I was surprised to know that you need to tell them the truth, which is in an age appropriate way. I would say that it is cultural too, because like my parents, they're from India, and they were like, oh no, you don't need to know about this, or, you know, just kind of like shunning it away, which a lot of cultures do, or a lot of parents do, because they're like, let me just hide this, but it's doing more harm. So that's a message that I've really been trying to get across to parents, is like telling the truth in an age appropriate manner, which is so important. And it pertains to this as well when it comes to these TikTok challenges. So another topic is how to tell if your child is thinking or actually participating in these trending internet challenges, because it's not just TikTok. There's challenges, you know, unfortunately, on a lot of platforms.
Yeah, whether it's YouTube or Instagram or you name it, it's out there, and places you've never even heard of, maybe like Discord, etc. So first of all, you need to know that there's a high likelihood you're not going to know. Good kids make bad choices, and they're very good at hiding things. If you are using monitoring software like Bark that can alert you when your child has encountered dangers, or if there's some conversations that are potentially problematic, at least you get some insight there, which is why Bark was created. But ultimately, it's candid conversations, understanding that your kids are going to make bad choices, using monitoring software so that you can be in the know as much as you can be as a parent, and being aware of what is happening. If you get wind of a challenge, right? NyQuil, Benadryl, whatever the challenge is, go ahead and talk to your kid about it. Say, hey, I heard that some kids did this, and I bet they were really smart and really loved, and they just made a bad choice. What do you think about that? What are you going to do if you're around your friends and this comes up? How are you going to say no? How are you going to stay strong?
Yeah,
No,
that's
really
another good point, is that, you know, we can manage our own kids' devices, but we can't manage other families' choices with their devices. So other kids are seeing things, and other kids are exposed to things, and other kids are going to want to try some of those challenges. So it's just, when it all comes down to is your relationship with your child. So starting at a young age, having candid conversations, age appropriate conversations about a lot of different things, over and over and over again. I'm constantly talking to my kids about these things. And then as they get older and they might get exposed to these things, keeping that line of communication is very open is very, very important. And one of the reasons I really do love Bark is because it takes that secrecy piece away. There's a difference between privacy and secrecy. And when you get alerted that your kid is talking about this, this, and this on their phone, whether that's another kid bringing it up or your kid texts it, then you have that chance to say, hey, buddy, I just saw this come in and we got to talk about it. And that's okay to do as a parent. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And I just wanted to bring up, so if you want to Tanya, talk about Bark, how you can try it for free, and what Bark is all about.
Absolutely. So Bark is a parent's tool for parenting in a tech world. Whether you need to monitor your child's social media, their texting, their emails, if you need to limit screen time, if you need to filter types of content that's coming into their device, if you want to limit gaming or access to certain sites in the home, or if you're looking for a safer smartphone for your child's starter phone, that's where Bark comes in. We offer all of that. You could just go to bark.us to figure out which of our product offerings work for you. And we do offer a free 7-day trial. So we help to protect close to 7 million families across the nation now. And our tech is actually used in schools for free. So our consumer product, yes, you do have to pay for after the trial, but any school in the nation that wants to use Bark's tech, you can use it for free. And we're in over 4,000 schools. So it's incredible.
Wow. And you know, I've been just doing a little research on Bark, and just monitoring devices in general, like computers, not just specifically social media.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, it is, I guess, kind of sneaky, but it isn't if you're telling your child.
Yeah, we advocate, and I know Tessa will speak to this as well.
Yes.
While there are instances where your children are in danger and they're not telling you, and you will need to go digging, for the most part, being upfront with your child about, hey, just like you have to wear a seatbelt in the car and wear a bike helmet when you bike, we're about to give you this tool that can severely impact your life for
Mhm.
better or worse. So we're going to use a tool to help keep you safe on it as well. Be upfront is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, and one of the other great things is you all have a phone as well. That is a safe smartphone if you want to talk about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Not that more children need smartphones, right? We're not
Right.
saying, hey, go ahead and get your kid a smartphone if you're on the fence. But if and when it's time for your child to have a starter phone, or if you want a safer phone for your teen or tween, if they're circumventing Apple screen time or just you're having some friction there, that's where the Bark phone comes in. It's a very sleek Samsung A13. It doesn't look juvenile at all. Really cool. It can be a fully functional smartphone if you want it to be, but it can also be very limited. As a parent, we're at a disadvantage right now if we give our child a phone that is not the Bark phone, because it just arrives to your child just open,
Mhm.
right? And then you've got to go behind the scenes and do the settings and set the filters and time limits. And no, parents are overwhelmed. So Bark phone, best first phone for kids, best phone for older teens as well, if you need some help there. And we really give parents so much more oversight into things like location, contacts, time limits, content, you name it. I wish I had it 5 years ago for my son. It would have been a game changer and possibly could have saved us a lot of pain.
That's so great for you to tell us about your personal story, and then also just that this resource is out there. I know whenever that time comes, I'm probably going to reach out to you and be like, what am I doing? And then both of you actually, what's happening? You know, like, yeah, right now I'm dealing with like a stuffy nose, and you know how that goes. And I would say also that if you know, it's just so important sometimes for the child to talk to someone other than the parents, which is when a therapist comes in. And you know, personally, I've dealt with that. Just my son having anxiety, and it's kind of like I'm not really getting through to him, and so going to a therapist. And I know, Tessa, you have, I just took some snippets from your website here, but if you want to tell me kind of what you offer, and I understand you also have a book out.
Yeah, so I wrote a book right in the pandemic. It was published, called For the Sake of Our Youth, and it's just an easy, simple read to understand raising kids in today's culture and how our culture is affecting every single kid's mental health, because it's so different from when we were growing up and when our parents were raising us. And so I just wanted to share with parents kind of what those cultural effects are that are so different. And I offer speaking engagements where I share a lot of this with parents, schools, churches, honestly, anyone who will listen to me. And I work with teenagers. I'm a parent coach, and I do support groups for teenagers as well.
That's awesome. And your book also is available on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and Indie.
Yeah.
Which that's great. And I'm so glad that you were able to, I guess, make time to do this during the pandemic. And it's just been a great resource for so many people. I've looked at the reviews as well. Before we go, if I was just going to give each one of you, you know, kind of like your last advice before we go for parents who are just struggling with just juggling everything in life, and now this added, right, like layer of concern. So Titania, I'll ask you first, what piece of advice would you give parents?
Sure. Well, I know that when I was a younger parent, following some authentic people online who had been there before me was helpful. Tessa and I are super active on social, specifically Instagram. So feel free to follow us there. I follow Tessa, love her stuff, great stuff. So follow other moms who have been there and done that. Also, you don't have to do it alone. Give yourself some grace. It is hard. It is not easy to be a parent in today's world. No other parent has done it. It's unprecedented. So deep breath. We'll get through it together. There's a Facebook group called Parenting in a Tech World. I will go in after the fact and drop a link to it in the comments below this live. Feel free to join it. There's over 300,000 parents in it. If Tessa and I can't help you, somebody in there can.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
I love that group because every day you can learn so much more. And if your child comes to you and says, "Hey mom, I want to get this app," you can go to Parenting in a Tech World and search it. And then you better believe another parent has already talked about it and tells you everything. So you can learn so much. But the last thing I would want to close on is pretty similar to Titania. Give yourself a little bit of mercy. Parenting is hard in general. Parenting today is extremely hard. But I will say the inconvenience of delaying the smart devices and taking the time and energy to really understand the digital world is so worth it, especially when they're little, to avoid the heartache and the darkness that could be headed your way if you don't stay on top of all of this stuff.
Definitely. Well, I thank you both so much for taking the time to do this. I know it's just, I mean, I kind of like, I hear everything on the news because I'm, telling everybody what the news is. It's like, I can't stay away from it. Therapists are like, limit your social media and your media intake. And I'm like, I am the media. What do I do? But, you just want to put your kids in this like box and be like, I want to protect you. And, the real world is
You
crazy.
really do.
But
a really great movie is Childhood 2.0, and Titania's actually in the movie. And Bark put it on, right, Titania? It's made by Bark, right?
We were featured in it.
Okay. It's a really, really great depiction of what's going on in today's world. Like if I was to make my book into a movie, it would be Childhood 2.0. I love it so much. I've watched it multiple times. I cry every time, but it's a good refresher. It's good to watch with your kids too, especially if they're 10 and older.
Okay.
It's good to watch with them. And they also have on YouTube, they have it broken up into clips so that you can see certain parts of the movie. It's a great resource for every parent out there. Every parent needs to see it. Absolutely.
I'll drop that link too.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both. And thank you for joining us this edition of Parent to Parent. I hope that we talk to them again because they have so many great resources. And I have no idea why I'm like blue, which is crazy. I was trying to fix the lighting here, but you know what I look like. Well, thank you all so much. And we will see you next time in another edition of Parent to Parent.